Hello everyone, today we're going to speak about an interesting character that appeared in Vikings Valhalla Season 2. Now, before I say anything or start the video, this is a big spoiler alert. If you're a big fan of Vikings Valhalla, just like I am, and you have not watched Season 2, then I highly recommend you stop watching this video now. Anyways, the character that appeared in Vikings Valhalla was Mariam al-Astrolabe. She was a prominent female scholar in the Middle Ages, and she emerged from the Islamic Golden Age. Mariam was a renowned astronomer, a mathematician, and her appearance in the show really caught my eye because, as we know, we focus on the medieval Arab and Islamic world. So let's look at Mariam's role in the show. Let's assess the accuracy, look at things I agree with and aspects I disagree with. Welcome to the Golden Middle Age. Before we begin talking about the show and Mariam's appearance in the show, let's have a quick recap about who Mariam was according to the information we have about her. But before we do that, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please make sure you do so. And also like this video, it really helps the channel grow. She was born in the 10th century in Syria and worked in Halab, which is Aleppo in Syria. And this is something the show gets right, by the way, and we'll speak about it later on. She is known as Mariam al-Astrolabe al-Ajliya because she designed and advanced the already existing astrolabe. The astrolabe was a tool that was used to determine the position of the sun, the stars and the moon, and it helps measure the altitude of the sun and the moon as well. It can specify the time during the day. It allows you to establish when sunrise is and when sunset is, and this was very, very important, especially for Muslims in the Middle Ages, because as you know, Muslims pray 5 times a day and they need to know what time each prayer is. So the astrolabe was a instrumental tool that was used to determine the times of the prayer, and also it allowed you to determine the direction of the Qibla, which is the direction Muslims pray to, which is Mecca, and obviously it allowed you to determine many other directions. Because of this, Mariam was a instrumental figure in advancing and designing the astrolabe. She studied under her father, whose name was Hushair al-Jilli, and surprisingly, he was also an astrolabe maker. So she developed this passion for mathematics and astronomy while she was studying under her father. And this is something that's also presented in the show. She actually has a conversation with one of the main characters of the show, Leif Erikson. And she speaks to him about how mathematics is the most beautiful language, which leads us nicely into the show and her appearance. So all in all, there are many accurate things about Mariam and about the historical context. They present her as a great female scholar who had a passion for mathematics and had a passion for dispelling myths, and they talk about her discoveries and how much knowledge she had. And actually there's a very, very interesting scene when again she's speaking with one of the main characters, Leif Erikson, and they're talking about astronomy, so the stars, the sun, the moon, and Leif presents to her some of the myths and legends he believes in about astronomy, and she instantly dispels them by giving him scientific facts. But here's the question: did she actually encounter Leif Erikson or the Vikings in general? Because the storyline is that Leif Erikson and Harald Sigurdsson, 2 of the main characters, go to a place called Rus al-Rus, which is modern day Russia and Eastern Europe. They go there for trade, and actually this is something that was very accurate because historically speaking, Vikings and Arabs interacted through trade, and they often interacted with each other in the place called Rus, which is presented in the show. And eventually the Vikings discovered a trade route to Constantinople where they were on the hunt for silver, and then this trading relationship developed between the Vikings and the Arabs at that time. So there was an interaction between Arabs and Vikings and trading, especially in the area of Rus. But here's a problem when it comes to Mariam. There are a lot of blank pages in her biography. Yes, we know that she was this great female scholar in the medieval times that emerged from the Islamic and Arab world. She made terrific advancements in mathematics and astronomy, specifically designing the astrolabe, which is where she gained her name as Mariam al-Astrolabiya. But then after that, there's not much information about her. Did she encounter Vikings? Did she travel to Rus? Did she then travel with the Vikings to Constantinople? Because again, in the show, what happens is that Leif Erikson and Harald Sigurdsson take a boat to Constantinople, and Mariam travels with them. And eventually she dies on the way to Constantinople. These are all question marks because there isn't much information about her in history. In fact, some sources even question whether her name was actually Mariam. So you can see there's a lot of debate about her personality. But what we can say is that yes, she was a great female scholar, and we can also determine that Vikings and Arabs had some sort of relationship when it came to trade, and they interacted with each other in the Rus. But Vikings Valhalla does a good job in showing Mariam's passion for mathematics and astronomy, in showing her advancements, in showing the actual tool she designed and advanced, which was the Astrolabe. So this is all good, but because again there are many blank pages in her biography, you have room for freedom of movement when navigating her life, especially for a TV show, because you want to make it fit the storyline and you want to make a nice story out of it and something dramatic. So I don't necessarily have a problem with that, but there is something I do have a problem with, and this was her love affair with Leif Erikson. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not against romance and love in TV shows or in real life, and I'm not trying to be holier than thou and preach, but this is about sticking to the true nature and personality of a historical figure. Because Mariam was a Muslim woman in the Middle Ages. Now firstly, Muslim women in the Middle Ages took their, well, most of them, even men, took their religion very seriously. So there was a lot of practicing Muslims in the medieval times, as there is nowadays, but obviously religion had much more importance during those times. And Mariam was a practicing Muslim woman. And this is something that's presented in the show as well, because there is a scene when they are stuck on the way to Constantinople in a river, I think, if I can remember correctly. And what she does is she actually uses the astrolabe to determine the direction of Mecca, the Qibla, and then she starts praying. So the show is presenting her as a practicing religious Muslim woman. Now, if she's a practicing religious Muslim woman, which I'm assuming she was, then you have to stay true to the personality traits. A practicing Muslim woman would not engage in a love affair, in an intimate relationship outside of wedlock. Therefore, if you're going to present Mariam as a practicing Muslim woman, she can't be doing that sort of stuff. Firstly, it's disrespectful. Secondly, it's not accurate. Again, we have to stay true to her nature and look at her personality. And if you want something to be historically accurate, you have to have it accurate in every single aspect, not just the events that happened, but also the personality. And her personality was that she was a practicing Muslim woman, and therefore a practicing Muslim woman would not engage in an intimate relationship outside of wedlock, but she does with Leif Erikson, and this is something I disagree with. Besides this one glaring issue I had, I think overall it was a good representation of Mariam al-Astrolabiya, and because of the lack of information about her, they did adapt her story well with the main plot. But again, it was just that one aspect that let it down, in my honest opinion. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you agree with me, if you disagree with me, if you have any other opinions, or even if you know more about Mariam than I do, please let me know in the comments. It will be great to hear your thoughts. Don't forget to like and share the video, and also subscribe to the channel. Thank you very much, and we will see you again very, very soon.